Once upon a time, in a small village at the base of a huge mountain, there lived a young man who was well known for being lazy. His fellow villagers worked ceaselessly in the fields and workshops, while he spent his days in the pleasant shade of a strong oak tree, drifting in and out of dreams and the soft embrace of sleep. One day, a well-groomed monk came to the village, and his serene expression caught the attention of the young man, who beckoned him forth. "My son," said the monk with a gentle smile, "I have a job for you. I want you to climb to the top of that huge mountain and retrieve a solitary feather from the highest peak." But the young man objected. "Monk, I can't climb to the top of the mountain. My laziness is too great." The monk smiled mysteriously and said, "Oh, the feather you are looking for is not on the mountain's top. It is on the other side of the mountain, in a cave only accessible by climbing up the mountain and descending down the opposite slope." Inspired by the mysterious words of the monk, the young man took up the challenge. With every step he took, he felt the exhaustion of his sluggish body weighing down his tired limbs. But as he ascended, his heart began to beat faster, and a spark of determination ignited within him. When he reached the top of the mountain, his bones ached, but a sense of triumph filled him. However, the true test lay ahead of him on the treacherous descent down the mountain's steep face. He stumbled and stumbled, but kept going, driven by the promise of the feather. With great determination, he made his way down the rocky path until he reached the entrance of the legendary cave. In the dimly lit darkness, he saw the feather, shining in its simplicity. He grasped it with all his might and felt a stirring in his soul as he held it reverently. Despite his triumph, he thought about how difficult it would be to go back down the mountain and return to the monk, and he was afraid to do it. Then he remembered how he had felt at the top of the mountain, and he summoned his last strength and began to climb again, each step he took with newfound strength. His muscles ached and his lungs burned, but he kept going, determined to reach the top. Finally, he reached the top and walked over to the monk, showing him the feather that he had taken. The monk smiled at him warmly and said, "Good job, my son. You have learned a great lesson today. Laziness is not something to be accepted or tolerated, but rather a challenge that must be faced with courage." The young man nodded as he understood the monk's words. He knew that deep inside he had the potential for great things but had not been able to reach them because of his laziness. With new clarity, he knew that he had the strength and courage to overcome anything that stood in his way. He knew that the monk's challenge wasn't just about getting a feather, it was about overcoming the limitations of laziness. Reflecting on what the monk said, he decided to face laziness head-on. He knew that to reach his goals, he had to set ambitious goals and push himself beyond what he thought was possible. He knew that every setback was a chance to learn and grow. He knew that discipline and consistency were necessary for long-term success. He knew that by sticking to a schedule and developing a growth mindset, he would be able to turn his failures into opportunities.